Hello, my name is Rainey Jr., and today we're going to talk about the plants that are native to the state of Michigan. So, defining the word native. I think that before we explore which plants are native to Michigan, we should have a solid understanding of what the word native really means. Merriam-Webster provides several different definitions for the word native, but their sixth meaning is the one that really relates to what we're talking about today. It reads as follows. 6a. Native. Grown, produced, or originating in a particular place or in the vicinity. Local example, native fruits and vegetables. 6b. Native. Living or growing naturally in a particular region. Example, native wildlife of Australia. Now we can talk about Michigan's native plants. Let's start with trees. There are 5 general types of Michigan forests. We have our upland conifers, our upland hardwoods, our swamp conifers, our swamp hardwoods, and our aspen trees. There are also grasses that are native to Michigan as well, but we'll talk more about those later. Michigan has native, remember, naturally growing, bushes and shrubs that appear in 3 sizes: large, medium, and small. Michigan also has several naturally growing flowers that all have different jobs in our ecosystem. For today's lesson, I've chosen 4 different types of flowers with 4 different purposes, including regular old wildflowers, the fruit-producing flowers, the butterfly-attracting nectar-producing flowers, and flowers that help with habitats and food. So, as I've said before, Michigan's forests can be grouped into 5 major types. We have the upland conifer group, which makes up about 13% of Michigan's trees. We also have the upland hardwood trees that make up 57% of Michigan's trees. They're our most common type of forest in Michigan. Then we have our swamp conifers that make up about 9% of Michigan's trees. Our swamp hardwoods that make up 9% of Michigan's trees. And we have our aspen trees that make up about 12% of Michigan's tree population. I know that the tree group names may not be super familiar to you, but try and think about whether you've heard of any of these types of trees before. The upland conifers being trees and shrubs that produce cones, this group makes up about 13% of Michigan's trees. Some of Michigan's conifers are our pine trees. Pine trees can be categorized as trees that bear needles, short or long, in clusters of 2, 3, or 5 needles. The clusters depend on the species of pine tree. 2 of our most popular types of pine trees in Michigan are the jack pine and the white pine, which actually happens to be Michigan's state tree. Within the upland conifers, we also have the balsam fir, which may look familiar to some as a traditional Christmas tree. And we also have the white spruce tree, which may look familiar to some as a landscaping type of tree. Continuing along the conifer line, we have our swamp conifers, which represent about 9% of Michigan's trees and are made up of tamarack trees, black spruce trees, and white cedar trees. Just before the swamp conifers, we looked at the upland conifers. Now, let's look at the upland hardwood trees. These are Michigan's most common type of trees and are made up of maple trees, which, if you did not know, is where maple syrup comes from. But we have a few types of maple trees here in Michigan, including the sugar maple tree, the red maple tree, and the striped maple tree. A variety of oak trees are also classified as upland hardwoods. Types such as bur oak trees, pin oak trees, red oak trees, swamp white oak trees, and Shumard oak trees. The upland hardwoods also include hickory trees and paper birch trees. Now, moving further along the hardwood line, we have swamp hardwoods, which represent about 9% of Michigan's trees and include elm trees, ash trees, cottonwood trees, the ones that seem to blow around those annoying fuzzies every spring, and the balm of Gilead. Last but not least, we have Michigan's native aspen trees. These trees are known for having leaves that shake or fall off easily in the wind. These trees make up about 12% of Michigan's tree population and include the quaking aspen and the big-tooth aspen. Now, let's shift gears to the grasses that grow naturally in Michigan. There are 5 major grasses that are native to Michigan. Think about whether you've seen or heard of any of these grasses before. Michigan's native grasses include beach grass, or sometimes known as marram grass, which is obviously most commonly found along the beaches and shores along our Great Lakes state. We also have cotton grass, which is harvested and used for many things, such as clothing and some personal care items. We have June grass, which is very common to see in open grassland or in nature trails or fields. We have grama grass, which can also be found near beaches or in sandy areas. And we have switchgrass, which grows naturally but is commonly used for landscaping and other aesthetic purposes, or purposes that are pleasing to the eye. Though grasses don't have as many categories as trees, they are still very important to our environment. Now, though, we are going to focus on the bushes and shrubs that are found in Michigan. As I briefly said earlier, bushes and shrubs are classified into 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. The small shrubs that grow in Michigan grow to be about 3 feet in height. The small shrubs in Michigan are the shrubby cinquefoil, the bush honeysuckle, the button bush, and the New Jersey tea shrub, which I found interesting to be a Michigan native plant, but be named after New Jersey. Medium shrubs can grow to be anywhere between about 6 and 8 feet in height. Michigan's medium shrubs include the Michigan holly, the red chokeberry, the arrowwood viburnum. Lots of red berries here, huh? and the common ninebark. More fuzzies. Large shrubs and bushes are those that grow to be up to 15 feet in height, which, by the way, is probably taller than the ceiling in your classroom. But Michigan has two native large shrubs, one being the common witch hazel, which is used for medicines, and the other is the black haw viburnum. More red berries. Last but certainly not least on our journey through Michigan's native plants, we come to flowers. As I said before, Michigan has many naturally growing flowers, and they all have different jobs within our ecosystem. For today's lesson, I've selected four different types of flowers with four different purposes, including flowers for fruit, flowers for nectar, for butterflies, wildflowers, and flowers that are helpful for birds. One of Michigan's naturally occurring flowers happens to be the wild strawberry plant that both animals and humans get to enjoy. Michigan's butterflies depend on nectar from flowers to survive. One example of this is the swamp milkweed, on which Michigan's monarch butterflies are dependent. There are also many types of flowers that are nothing more than wildflowers. An example of these is the wild geranium. And there are some flowers that provide great nesting material as well as food sources for some birds. An example of this type of plant is the hairy beardtongue. Strange name, huh? So now, we're going to do a little review. This is nothing major, don't worry, just mainly to see if you've been paying attention. I'd like you to take out a scrap piece of paper and a writing utensil. Don't worry, this won't be graded, but we will go over the answers at the end, just to see how we did. All right, let's answer a few quick questions. Number 1, there are blank types of forests that naturally grow in Michigan. And your choices are A, 8 types, B, 2 types, C, 5 types, or D, too many types to count. Right, number 2. Michigan's large shrubs grow to be up to blank feet tall. Your choices are 12 feet, 15 feet, 7 feet, or 25 feet. Okay, and number 3. True or false? Butterflies depend on, or need, certain types of flowers in order to survive. Okay, so I'll give you another 15 seconds or so to look over your answers and make sure that you're satisfied with the ones that you've chosen. Alright, now if everyone is ready, I'm going to flip to the next slide so we can see what we've learned so far. Everyone who's confident in their answer may feel free to shout out their answers after I read the question. When I finish reading the answer, I may ask the class to briefly and silently tell how they did on each question by signaling a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a midway thumb if they feel comfortable reporting their answer. So, number 1 asked how many types of forests could be found in Michigan. Your choices were A, 8 types, B, 2 types, C, 5 types, and D, too many types to count. The correct answer to this question is C. There are 5 types of forests that can be found in Michigan. Okay, so number 2 asked us how tall Michigan's large shrubs can grow to be. Your choices were A, 12 feet, B, 15 feet, C, 7 feet, and D, 25 feet. The correct answer was B. Michigan's large shrubs can grow to be up to 15 feet in height. And the last question asked us if butterflies depend on or need certain types of flowers in order to survive. The answer was true. Butterflies do depend on certain types of plants in order to survive. An example of this was Michigan's monarch butterflies, who depend on the swamp milkweed and the nectar that comes from the swamp milkweed in order to survive. Now we'll get ready for the next activity. If you've got any questions or are confused about anything that we just covered, now would be a great time to ask. I hope that you took notes during the presentation as well. You'll be able to use these notes on the quiz that we take later. Alrighty, I'd say that you're ready and prepared enough to move on to the next activity. Thanks for watching.